Now I'm going to invite up on stage Ms. Romandash, which is journalist and South and Eastern European Dialogue on Internet Governance. She's also a board member within DCN, Digital Communication Network, and she's going to talk about Internet governance and the media, democracies in transition. Romandash. Let's give her a big round of applause.
Hi everybody, good morning. Thank you for being here. I know I'm one of the few people standing between you and a coffee break, so I will try to make it nice and short. I'm going to talk a little bit about internet governance and why it matters for journalists and people not necessarily working in tech. As maybe Alan mentioned, I didn't really hear what he said about me, but I'm a board member at Digital Communication Network. But besides that, I'm quite involved with internet governance, so I am a Kent Fellow and a member of CD community. And for those of you who don't know what it is, I'm going to explain this. So let's start with internet governance and what it is. I don't know if you're familiar with this term. When I started working in the field, I saw internet governance is about internet government, which unites all of the governments that spy on us. It turns out that it's not exactly what it means. Basically, internet governance is the adoption and implementation of all kinds of principles that regulate how we use internet right now. And internet governance is not just about the governments. Actually, because there is no internet government, of course. It's about governments, it's about civil society, it's about businesses and how they interact and how they cooperate and how they adopt different policies that matter for all of us, including journalists, because we are end users of the internet. What's interesting about internet governance is that while we all use internet in different countries all over the world, there's no single internet regulator that does everything worldwide. And basically, a lot depends from the national governments, but a lot depends on the end users. I represent ICANN, which stands for Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. And basically, it's a non-for-profit. It's based in the US, and it's kind of similar to, well, it's the closest to what we have to the internet government, but it's not actually. So basically what ICANN does is that it takes care of assigning names and numbers, so basically IP addresses that we use to connect to different websites. What's interesting about ICANN, while it has very specific technical tasks, it's actually responsible for a lot of things over the internet. So a lot of internet government policy-related discussions happen with ICANN. ICANN is a multi-stakeholder community, so it involves actually the community end users. It has the board, which is elected from the end users, and it has people who get paid for what they do. So basically, anybody can join ICANN. So if you're an end user, you're using internet, and you want to have a say on how internet policies are being developed, how they're being shaped, you can actually join the community. It has different organizations, so it has advisory committees, it has supporting organizations. So what's interesting about ICANN, as I said, it's responsible for very roughly technical tasks, but pretty much most of the world governments are also actively involved with ICANN. So there is a GAC, Governmental Advisory Committee. And what it does, it actually gathers during different ICANN meetings. So representatives of different governments get together and they discuss how internet should be governed and how it should be ruled and what policies should be implemented. So while government officials gather, this is a very good opportunity for citizens, journalists, activists to have a say on what policies should or should not be implemented and why. As I said, pretty much anybody can be involved with ICANN. So if you're an end user, you can just join their organization. So obviously you can read about the organization, you can watch videos, you can join ICANN Learn, which is kind of like a very interactive Wikipedia where you can take all kinds of tests and just learn about the organization. You can use all kinds of other tools. What's cool is that we do a lot of offline events in different regions, so there's going to be one in Europe in October, which is free to attend. And you can actually join the board after spending some time with ICANN and learning what it does and what you can do. Now there's some offline events that you can join, such as fellowship, public meetings, public forums, and they're all open and they're all of the public is invited. And for people who are journalists, there is a fellowship, ICANN fellowship, so it's for tech people, entrepreneurs, journalists, media activists, all kinds of professionals. Basically, it's like an opportunity to learn about ICANN, where different professionals from all over the world are invited to attend, and there's also an opportunity for students. So I gave you a little bit, like a brief of what ICANN is. So I hope you get like the main points. It's a non-for-profit, it's based in the US, but it's not American, it's international. While it works with domain names, it regulates all kinds of internet-related things. And with all of the technical tasks that it does, why does it matter for journalists? Because, well, we don't really care, right, how you write, how you spell a particular domain name, or we don't really care that much about IP addresses, or should we care about it? Well, the short answer is yes, we should care about it, because how the internet works influences how we work. For example, in about 2 weeks in the EU, they will adopt GDPR, the new data protection regulation. It's all about our rights, our information, how it's stored online by different companies. And it's a brand new regulation that completely changes the way the businesses were using our data. So basically what it changes is how different companies which operate with the EU citizens, so pretty much all of the big global companies, right? Because even if you have one EU citizen as a customer, you're already obliged to follow this GDPR. So basically this GDPR regulation, it changes how the data, personal data, is being stored and processed by different businesses. This protection regulation has been passed by the EU, but it has been passed because of the push from the citizens, it has been passed by the push from the media, and it has been passed by the push from the civil society. So it's very important, and this is really, really interesting. I mean, I'm pretty sure you all followed Facebook trials. So for example, Facebook will follow GDPR, but all of the other companies that work with the EU have to follow it. There was a speaker from Open Government Partnership, so ICANN works with Open Government Partnership. We will do a project with them too, and it's closely relevant to what they do. And finally, I said that I'm a part of CD, CuraDIC, and IGF. So to give you a little bit of an idea, as all of you are journalists, activists, entrepreneurs, you want to have a say about how the internet is being developed in your region in particularly. So CDIC is Southeastern European Dialogue on Internet Governance, but Southeastern Europe is like, it's a really hard to define region. So I'm Ukrainian. Ukraine is considered Southeastern Europe for CDIC, which Ukraine isn't, but still. So basically it's like an offline platform where you can meet and discuss different internet developments with policymakers. So the meetings are free to public. You can come, you can discuss what policies are being developed. For example, policies related to censorship, to blocking different websites, to infrastructure of the internet, to the cost of internet, and it's free to attend. Another event which is called EuroDIC. It's pretty much the same as CDIC, but it's for the entire Europe. It's also an offline event. It's also free to attend. And finally, it's Internet Governance Forum, which also happens in Europe, and it's also a multi-stakeholder meeting where you can join and discuss different things that are related for media professionals. Thank you very much, and I hope I did not bore you to death, and you're ready for the next speaker.
Thank you, Anya. Yeah. One question there. That's a low throw.
Hi. It's a very good speech, actually. I didn't skip this speech. It's interesting about GDRP, especially. I had a couple of days ago, I had a discussion about half of my discussion with a friend who works in IT, and he works with personal data. So everybody now is with GDRP comply, and they should change everything in their company to be compliant with GDRP and so on. But okay, if you want to delete every data for a company, you make a request. That request contains personal data. And in this case, the company should keep those requests that contains personal data. But the client wants every data to be removed. So this is a vicious circle. What about that?
It is, but it isn't. So the GDPR defines what personal data is. So there's a better definition than it was in the previous regulation. So the client cannot ask for the deletion of the information that is not in the definition, basically. And also, I think you're also talking about the right to be forgotten, which has been introduced on Google too as well. So for example, if there is a data which is not relevant for society anymore, you can technically request Google to remove your name, the data about you from appearing on Google search. But it's still something that is in the process, so Google can remove it from Google search if you prove your case, if you say, yes, this is private information about me, it's not relevant for society, because it's also tricky, like, where is it, your private data, and where is its right for information for other citizens who can and need to find this information. So the rights to be forgotten basically allows you to delete this information from Google search, but it doesn't oblige Google to delete this information from the websites. I mean, Google doesn't have any say if the information if the content is still on the website, So getting back to your question, there is a definition of what personal data is. So there is as much as customers can go in asking for deleting or using this data, but they cannot ask for deleting of everything unless it's in the law.
So when you make the request, it should not be identified with some ID number or something.
Well, if you are an EU citizen, this is how you would normally proceed. But it's just for the EU citizens.
Okay, thanks.
GDPR is going to be a big subject, so I imagine that there are more questions about it.
Okay, so you mentioned GDPR and ICANN, so I know ICANN has a quiz query for the domains that contain personal data. After the EU GDPR regulation, I don't know exactly what and how are we planning to deal with this. What I wanted to stress out is that tool for watchdogs and law enforcement, the quiz query, is very, very useful in catching the bad guys, let's say, okay? So my question would be, how will ICANN approach this issue?
So GDPR is like a big challenge for ICANN. So the last public meeting, it was in Puerto Rico. Now there is a policy forum in Panama, and it's something that's being discussed between ICANN board and the government representatives, especially from the EU. So ICANN, technically, in a way, ICANN cannot, have too much of a say on the domain names, right? So our job is basically like, we're kind of an intermediary, right? So we sell the domain names to registries, and then they sell them to registrars, and this is how the whole process goes. So we cannot really, influence the law that has already been implemented, but it's something that is being discussed. So it's still in the process, so it's really hard to say. For example, it's going to be discussed right now in Panama during the policy forum. So it's happening this week.
Thank you. Any other questions? One last question? There is?
The question is more of a comment, I guess. I just want to say, let's not spread panic about GDPR. is not a revolution in data protection actually, it's just an evolution. And I've been dealing with the GDPR quite some time now as a lawyer. And well, the thing is, if you are compliant with the current regulation we have in the EU, you are 99% probably compliant with the GDPR as well. So let's not spread panic about these things, okay? And actually, to answer your question about the request for deletion, actually, if a person files the request, you are allowed to process the data. There is a legal exception for that. So it's not a vicious circle.
Thank you.